Now we move into the next lesson, which is about cognition, how our mind works, and the mental structures. To do this, we're going to do it in the most basic way. Let's talk about the duplex mind. The duplex mind, if you can recall, there's two different levels of thinking. One that you would call automatic, one that you would call deliberate. Automatic is intuitive. Automatic is easy, speedy, multitasking, emotional, impulsive. While you have deliberate, which is analytical, effortful, slow, judgmental, reason. If you have those two different levels of thinking, it depends. Over the course of a day, you may jump from one to the other. But which one do we use most often? Automatic. Because this is the rationale behind it. We use the automatic most often so we can save the effort in case we need to use deliberate. We cannot be on deliberate all day. We should have enough reserve power to use the deliberate because we prefer to run on automatic most of the day. If we need to use deliberate, we should have enough power because we prefer to run on automatic most of the day. Now, that lesson in mind, how do we run on automatic most of the time? Well, our mind naturally seems to simplify information for us so we can navigate in this world without spending too much of a mental effort. And here is where a complex but complex concept that we can simplify called schemas. This is where it comes to mind. Look, anything that you see around you tends to be naturally in our mind grouped so we can understand it in an easier manner. Everything that you see around you, you tend to group it in your mind so it helps the world being easier for us to navigate. For example, let's think about this. I do have a chair behind me, right? So look at the chair. It's nothing fancy, nothing special. It's a normal chair. You've seen a chair like this a lot of different times in your life. Maybe not this one specifically. So imagine if it's the first time in your life that you see specifically this chair. Would you need to put any kind of thought into it? Of course not. It's just a chair. What's the point of us spending any kind of mental effort thinking about this? So we see it, and we can see it only once, and it's more than enough for us to keep going on with our life. There's no point in us spending any kind of effort on this. In the way that you can analyze the chair, you can analyze anything around you. So you step into a classroom, it's your first day of class, it's a new school, and you happen to be the first student going into the classroom. Do you spend any kind of effort thinking of what your next action is going to be? Of course not. Because you've done this many times before. As a student, you know that you're supposed to look out for an empty seat, sit down, and wait for someone to start lecturing. One more example. Class is over, it's kind of busy, so you walk on the hallway where it's flowing people. As it's full of people, you naturally tend to incline to walk on the right side of the hallway so you let the people go by. But think about this. Sometimes the hallway is entirely open. You can walk around any side. It's a free country. But you naturally decide to still incline on the right side as you're not thinking consciously. You run on automatic on those actions. That's all a schema. We tend to group information and we categorize it to keep it easier for us to navigate in the world. Let me tell you one last example. What about stereotypes? Would you believe that you hold a stereotype? You do. You wouldn't lie to me, you do. Why would you stereotype people? And you stereotype people for a lot of different things, right? For the way they look, the way they act, the way they dress, from where they're coming from, the kind of tennis shoes they use, the kind of hairstyle that they have, the kind of music they listen to, the kind of field they work in, what they study, for their age, profession, and so on and so on. Why do we do that? Because it takes effort for us to analyze every single individual. We want to make the world easier to navigate, so we prefer to group people into categories. The way that you would group a share, as long as you see one, you feel like you've seen all of them. We tend to do the same thing with people. If you categorize people, say for a specific thing that is noticeable, they wear glasses. You happen to see a person wearing glasses and now you feel like you've seen all of them. That would be a schema running through your mind that is trying to make the world easier for you to navigate. Now, that being said, what happens when you encounter something unexpected? That's when you have a different term called heuristic coming in. When you encounter something that is unexpected, you analyze the information so you can try to understand how to deal with it, how to navigate through it, how to walk through it, or so on. The key word here is unexpected. When you encounter something unexpected, it's a heuristic in your mind trying to analyze the information. When everything runs as expected, schemas run through your mind often and often and often. That being said, let's close it up with one last thing, one last lesson. The thing is, schemas are naturally constructed in our mind to make the world easier for us to navigate. But there's a problem. We like to run on the automatic state of mind so often that we tend to develop what we call in the field cognitive misery, or I prefer to call lazy thinking. In this kind of lazy thought idea, you prefer to run on a schema, an automatic, and when you encounter something that is unexpected, what you should do is analyze through your deliberate state of mind, switch, analyze through your conscious reason capabilities. But we don't. We're mentally lazy. We prefer to keep running on automatic. You have a stereotype for a person, and you happen to see that that person doesn't fit the stereotype. Instead of changing your mind to the deliberate, you prefer to keep holding on to the stereotype because it's easier for you to keep running on schemas. That idea can extend so much that it would even allow us to understand discrimination, prejudice. But that falls beyond the purposes of this lesson. Remember, your mind works on two levels. We will go on automatic most often, and the way to do that is by grouping information in our mind. That would be a schema. All right?